Hello, testing, test 1 2. All right, this is just a test of the video. I'm thinking about filming the Q&A vlog right here, right now. So let's see how it looks and how it sounds. Testing 1 2. Hello. Hi, testing 1 2. Alrighty, so this is gonna be the Q&A vlog. So I asked on Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram for questions that I would answer live, and now I'm going to answer them. We are here in my room. It's a pretty dynamic space. I do a lot of things here. I kind of got like the keyboard here. This is where the microphone usually goes for recording vocals. Studio monitors, laptop, whiteboard where I just kind of throw up ideas. So that's there. My bed is here. My room is all pretty much mostly more bed than room, but it's nice for sleeping at night. But yeah, that's where I'm coming to you from, and I've got a good amount of time. Just coming off getting sick, so I sound a little bit raspy and maybe a little bit nasally too. The sniffles are there. I'm just kind of getting over that sickness, but let's jump into the questions. So I obviously briefly looked at them, screenshotting them, but I haven't thought to like go through the answers. So I'm just going to look at them. It's been like 10 days since I actually got the questions. So I'm going to go through them now and answer them live. So here we go. They're on my phone, which I think I left over there. Hang on. Yeah, okay. Sorry, gross. Okay. All right, so here we go. I've got quite a few, so I'm just going to go through them. All right, so here we go. All right, so the first question says, how do you feel about your name? Yes, my name is Jesse, Jesse Aaron Wenzel. And I know that my name has different meanings depending on the culture or maybe the context. So I know that my name can be found in the Bible and a Hebrew name, which means gift of God. And then I saw something else that says my name can mean wealth. And then I saw something else. This is harder to find, but it's really interesting, and I think it's really beautiful. The name Jesse can mean my husband when you say it, which is super cool. I love love and romance, and I would love to get married one day. And so just to think that my wife, when she says my name Jesse, she's really saying my husband, and I think that's really beautiful. That's super romantic. So yeah, I really like my name. Wealth, gift of God, my husband, super cool. I'm a fan. And I am going to do a bunch of heavy research. I will really want to have kids one day, and you have to just heavily research what the name means behind it. In the Bible, names were a prophecy over that person's life. So usually, like, people would name their kids something, and then that would happen in their life, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. Names are a big deal, and I do really like mine. So boom. All right. Next question. What is your favorite way to relax after a long day? Yeah, so I get home after work. I definitely have my little rituals and routines and patterns. I'm a creature of habit for sure. And so I get home and I'm pretty introverted actually. So I'm probably going to like get my favorite food, favorite drink. And sit down and snack on it and watch some YouTube videos or read a book or be out in nature or watch a movie. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of like having some Jesse time, recharging that social battery. Yeah. yeah, just like Jesse time, you know, which can be the show, the video game, whatever. Going outside, being in nature is big for me. So yeah, I would say what my favorite way to relax is. It depends on the time of year, because summertime I'll want to be outside. Wintertime I'll probably be like playing a game or something, whatever. Um, yeah. So boom. Thank you for asking. By the way, that's so kind. Um, that like someone cares to ask that. That's super cool. So I don't know. Someone said, "Will you make an original song?" Yes, I'm working on making a song right now, and it will be a fully original song. And there's a lot of work to do because I have to produce it, mix it, master it, record it, sing, which I've never done for anyone besides choir in high school. So there's a lot of new things I have to learn, and the process is going to take, I think, a lot of time. So yeah, I will make an original song, and I will put it on everything: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. Just give me some time on it. But something I really want to do. Okay, why did you quit Mugs? So I used to be a pizza delivery guy at a pizza place down the street, and I was a deliverer, and I also did the cash register too. And I kind of come and go from that job. I love it. I love the people there. Shout out Mugs. Jose, if you're watching this. Um, yeah, I left. Each time I left, it's because I moved. So yeah, usually just because I'm moving. But this time around, I moved back in with my parents, and they don't like me working at Mugs. They say like, "Oh, get a real job," which it is a real job, but whatever. We disagree, but they're my parents, and that's what they're asking, so whatever. But yeah, I usually anytime I leave Mugs, it's just because I'm moving. Okay, what scares you the most about falling in love? So, yeah, I love love, and I would love it if I could go through life with someone, with like a compatible life partner that's my best friend, and like we just trust each other, we tell each other everything, we raise kids together, and just explore the world together. I think that would be the most beautiful and amazing thing. What scares me the most about falling in love is I think making the wrong choice, is just keeping it real. I think that's like the biggest fear for me. That's why it's hard. That's why I'm afraid of falling in love. Like, is this the right person? Like, is this the one? There's a cynical side of me that says like, oh, you could make it work with anyone. Just be vulnerable and put yourself out there. And if you have similar common values and you click, then boom, just go through life together. And you could work with anyone. But then there's the romantic side of me that's like, no, that's just not romantic enough. Like, I want a fairy tale love story. Just like this beautiful like scenario where it's like soulmates, and like that's the one, and there's this grand adventure and all these crazy coincidences. And so I kind of go back and forth between those two things. And I am aware that if I am always chasing after an ideal, no significant other will be the one. So it's kind of tough. I guess just from hearing myself talk about it, it sounds like I'm not really ready for that type of commitment yet. Because I'm still trying to figure out exactly who I am, and exactly what it is that I want in a life partner. Because like, how do you know someone's compatible with you if you don't know the things that you like and the things that you want? So I think I've got some more work to do there. But yeah, that's what scares me the most about falling in love, is like, is this the right person? I want that. I'm the type of person that just wants that clarity and wants that surety. So yeah, good question. Big answer though. I'm definitely being pretty vulnerable with this too. I don't know. I'm at the point where it's just like, life is short, and just be raw, be open, be vulnerable is what I'm telling myself. And maybe it will help people to come out of their skin, or maybe it will help people feel like, oh, I'm not alone. I feel that way too. So yeah, I don't know. We're probably all going through the same things, feeling the same things. So let's be vulnerable and go through life together. So yeah, that's my biggest fear. TBH, being totally real. What's your next car, a Supra or a Skyline? The new Supers are pretty cool, manual. Skyline, no, I don't know. My next car, I've always wanted like a manual Mustang, so we'll see. I don't know. It is what it is. If I never get one, that's fine. But yeah, manual Mustang would be kind of cool. I think they sound awesome, and yeah, maybe a convertible too. I don't know. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay, what is one of the coolest stories from one of your jobs? All right. Well, I was working in. I lived in LA for a little bit, and I went there to originally went there to act and model, even though I ended up not doing any of that. And I was working for Apple while I was there, and one of my customers that I helped to fix her phone, and she was an actor, like an older lady. And I told her kind of my story, why I was there, and she actually bought me a acting class, and I accepted and I went to it, and it was so amazing. And yeah, I was able to train under this really awesome acting coach man with other actors, and excuse me, they had a full set, and yeah, that was just something so amazing that I was able to do, and I felt like a felt like it was what I went there to LA to do, and that was just so kind of her to pay for that. And she was just, once I went, I don't we haven't even talked. I sent her like a thank you email, and she said you're welcome, and like that was it. That was just such a kindness that someone did for me. She saw my potential and my desire, and she was just like, I want to make this happen for you, and paid for it. So totally amazing. That was super kind of her to do. It's definitely one of my coolest work stories. Okay. Okay. Have you struggled with lust, and any suggestions on how to turn away from it? Okay. So lust. Okay. So yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Um, that is like a really, that is a, that is a big temptation for me. Um, how I have been able to handle it, I would say, okay, let's say you're attracted to another human being. Um, being attracted to someone is not wrong. Feeling attraction is normal. Lusting, I think, is going a step beyond attraction, and it's lust is attraction in action, something like that. Okay, so you've said like, okay, I'm attracted to this individual, and no no boundaries, no rules. I am going to take this next step um and fantasize or pursue them. And I think specifically with lust, emphasis on no boundaries and no rules. So this person, it's most likely an inappropriate relationship. By inappropriate, I mean maybe they're already in a committed, closed relationship, or maybe you don't even know that person. There's no relationship with them at all. Um, and I think that's like the difference. And so I think I think if I start to notice that I am attracted to someone, I think there's just this moment where you stop and you say, okay, I am attracted to this person, and pause, okay? But because a feeling, you just stop and take that feeling and say, okay, is this a good feeling or a bad feeling? It's a good feeling. It's normal. It's good to feel attraction. I'm not going to let this attraction turn into an action or turn into a thought. I'm just going to take it and deal with it. And how I usually deal with it is I will say to myself, okay, that person is beautiful and I'm attracted to them, and that's cool. I usually bring God into the situation, like God, the creator of everything, the creator who made this creation that I'm attracted to. And I'll kind of bring God into the situation. So it's not just me and my feeling and that person. I'll bring God in and be like, God, thank you for the beauty of this person. Thank you for my attraction to them. I just want to pause and recognize that, like, help me to like remain in control and keep all of this appropriate, because I want to respect them as a human being. They are more than my attraction to them, and they are a human being, like a whole person like me. Excuse me. So I bring God into the conversation and I thank him for that person and for my feelings for them. And usually at that point, like, we're good to go. And that thought is not going to turn into, that attraction is not going to turn into lust. I hope that kind of process makes sense. I think, and I want to share something that I did like for a while. So I think there was a time where I was like, I really started to demonize attraction. So I would say like, oh, I would mislabel attraction for lust, like right off the bat. And I think when you do that, you kind of dehumanize people. All right, so people are not, I mean, no duh, but like people are not like, people are like full human beings with stories, and just like you and I are. And they are more than, I said it earlier already, they're more than just my attraction to them. And so step one for me was separating attraction from lust, and then bringing God into the conversation, thanking him for the whole situation, and then saying, okay, I love this person. They are a human being. They're worthy of my respect, and they're worthy of my respect and of my self-control. And it's just a matter of like acknowledging and not demonizing the attraction, and keep humanizing the people. Because I think with lust, there's a dehumanization that happens there too. You start to like just think of that person as just an object that is there for your pleasure, and that's so wrong. And so I've had a couple instances where I've been inappropriately pursued by individuals. I think it's happened like quite a few times with me, actually, because I'm not the type to, I'm a very big empath, and so I'm always the type of person to try to relate to how a person is feeling, and I think like I'm really nice, and at the times when this happened, I was very naive and trusting, and I've been pursued inappropriately, and I know what it feels like to be viewed and pursued as just an object. And it's very off-putting. It's very like dehumanizing, and it's very hurtful, and being lusted after is not it. And so I can relate to kind of both ends. Like, I know what it felt like to be lusted after, and I don't want to lust after someone else, because I know like both ends of that situation. Wow, super long answer, but this is something I've put a lot of thought into, and it's something that I have to do every day, all the time, just to stay in control of myself and my thoughts. And just because like you have an appetite, or like you have a feeling, doesn't mean that you have to act on it. Everything has to be put under like restraints and have boundaries, especially if someone is going to be dehumanized, or if someone's going to be dehumanized, they have to be protected. And so, yeah, super long answer. I hope that kind of makes sense, and there's some clarity in that. But yeah, I'm really happy with my growth in that area, and I feel like I'm at a place where I really do love people, and I think that it's so wrong to objectify people and dehumanize them into merely a feeling that you have towards them. I feel like I'm at a place right now where I'm really happy, and I love people. I love everybody, and I really want to be someone who all my friends, guys and girls, can feel safe around and feel like they can be themselves around me. And yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts on that. So I hope that helps out. And I really like talking about this topic. It was a big moment of growth for me. So yeah. How much can you bench? I can bench 225 for one. And that's like my biggest flex, because 2 plates on bench press just looks so good to me. I think it's like the ideal. It's like the ideal spot. I'm really happy with that. I'll keep pushing it and go up. I usually add like the little 2.5s on either end and grow weekly. It would be awesome to get up to like 3 plates, but I'm really happy with that. My bench is, I can do 225 for one. That's like my PR. Other than that, 8 to 12 reps with like a smaller weight, like, I don't know, whatever, 220, 195, etc. Okay, so next question. What is your dream life one day with your family and your house, and what do you hope for, and what do you hope to accomplish? Okay, so I have also thought about this a lot, so I really like this question. I think, okay, I'm going to switch out the battery on my screen, and I'm going to pause, because I think my camera can only record for 30 minutes at a time. So 1 sec. Okay, we're back in action. Okay, so last question. Your dream life one day, family, house, what do you hope to accomplish? So yeah, I've thought about this a lot. I love this question. I have this idea of like a farm in Indiana, okay? And I have 2 sisters. I'm in the middle, and I just feel like I want to take care of my parents. They raised me and took care of me, and I feel like I would want to take care of them too. So I imagine like my house with my wife and kids, and we've got cows for milk and cheese, chickens for eggs, and then horses to ride and to take care of and keep us busy, and lots of gardens. And then there's like a crossroads, so like it's like a cross, like here's my house, and then my parents' house is here. And there's like a forest in between. So like we're neighbors, but we're not like that close, because I don't want to live like next to my parents. Like I don't even want them to be able to like look and see my house. Like we need a golf cart and we need to drive to get to each other's house. I don't want to be like that close, but as they get older in life and maybe they'll have some medical issues or whatever, I would just want to be close to them. Like, hey, how are you guys doing? Let me check up on you. If God forbid we need to go to the hospital for something, we'll go. But oh, hey, mom, here's these gardens that you can take care of and cultivate. She loves cooking. And here, pop, here, you can help take care of these animals. And here's a workshop for you. Because both of them have said when they retire, they don't want to retire because they want to stay busy. So that would be kind of me keeping them busy. So mom, here's gardens, and you can cook for everybody. You can bake to your heart's content. And for my dad, here's a workshop and here's some animals. Just stay busy on the farm, So boom, boom, farming Indiana. I think Indiana is just the perfect spot. I like the Four Seasons. It's a good point for me to go out and travel from because I do want to do a lot of traveling. And when the kids come, parents can watch the kids, free childcare. um, and I also would see too, like if she has parents or my significant other, if she has parents or parent figures like that she wants to look after, that crossroads, her parents could be at this house too, you know. So yeah, and I envision this kind of like a farm. I also envision a big like community space too. So I always want to be having like big dinners with people over, house parties. Um, just having people over doing life together, like we're cooking, we're sharing our struggles, we're praying for each other. I would love to have like Bible study nights and worship nights too, just form like a little community and just make sure that we are doing life together and going through things together and sharing knowledge with each other and growing together. I think that would just be so amazing and beautiful. So I envision a house that's always busy, noisy, things happening, things going on, people being helped, projects happening, creation, things being created, lots of art. I am big on homeschooling, Montessori schooling as well, and I think I am super excited to be a teaching figure and try to do the best I can to be an example for my kids to have like a good, well-rounded upbringing. So I also see my house always having a spare room for people to stay in, so we can take care of people who are in need. I just envision like it's not even my house, like it's God's house to do what He wants to do with whoever He wants to help, um, in our community or in general. So yeah, and as for like me and my wife one day, I'm pretty I'm a pretty like independent guy. Like I think ideally, like with me and my wife, we sleep in the same bed and we eat at the dinner table, but we each might have our own rooms, like doing our own projects, like our own studios. So we can go and do our thing and still grow and have a separate relationship with God and create and kind of do our thing and then like come together and still enjoy each other and do life together. So I think I value our independence and I value our individuality too. Of course, I value us coming together and being one, but what makes us so strong is our differences coming together. So I want those things to keep growing. So I'm big on like, yeah, I don't want to like, yeah, I would want us to like still be growing. So yeah, and that's the family goals. That's what I want for my family and what I see from there. So yeah, I think that's my answer to that question. Yep. Okay. All right, we got a Bible question here. So, why was polygamy acceptable in Old Testament? So, boom. All right, good question. Let's dive in. This is something that like kind of bothered me. Definitely like bothered me a couple times. That I've thought deeply about it. Like, okay, we all came from Adam and Eve. Like what? And then when the flood happened and everyone came from Noah and his family, that there was more polygamy happening there. And many times in the Old Testament, people have multiple wives, and it's just like, how do we reconcile all this? And what I've discovered is what I found is that I think God makes. Okay, so here's what I found to satisfy some of my questions on that topic. So there's DNA, okay, and it's the stuff that makes us up, and the more you split DNA, the more you split DNA and how similar the DNA is when you combine it can result in greater deficiencies in health or quality of life. So like a lot of people think that in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil and God cursed the earth, a lot of people believe that's when entropy also entered into reality. So entropy is like the constant breaking down of things. Like your car is always breaking down. Our bodies are always shutting down. We're heading towards death. Everything is always decaying. That's when entropy entered into the human genome as well. And basically, when everything was created, it was so perfect and good and original and pure. And imagine this really strong DNA strand that could handle, I don't know, it could handle a family producing another family with no birth defects. And I think that as time went on and the human genome has gotten like less and less, if you do breed within a family, it equals like birth defects and stuff like that, because the human genome is so far from its original good pure state. Because also in the Bible times, people live for a really long time. Like in Genesis, you'll read about people living for like 600 years or 400 years. There was also a time when God put a cap on it too. He said people are not going to age beyond 120 years after this point. And so maybe that's when the human genome started to break down. And that was after Noah. That was after the flood. So yeah, so why was it acceptable in the Old Testament? I think that it was allowed for a period of time in order to accomplish a purpose, which was populating the earth. Because God gave Adam and Eve a command to populate the earth, and he also gave that command to Noah. And so that was a specific instance where he gave a command to repopulate the earth. So it wasn't so much happening because people were lusting after their own family members. It was more so because, okay, we need to survive and populate the earth, so this is just what we're going to do, and this is what needs to happen. And I think that there were not any DNA repercussions during that time because it was God's command. So like when God gives a command, he has practical reasons as well as his moral reasons too. And yeah, practical reason for not breeding within your family is that they probably will be born with birth defects. And God is commanded not to do it. So there's the command. God's commands are morality. So boom, it's not moral, but also there's a practical reason, birth defects. But at the time, God gave that command. So at the time, that was okay, and it didn't have any like repercussions. So yeah, good question. That's something that really like stumped me for a while. But through reading like these articles talking about how the human genome has broken down over time, like it's getting less and less like strong. That for me, that would indicate, and just the laws of entropy in general, everything is always breaking down. That it makes sense to me, logical sense, that originally the human genome would have been very strong, and probably if you interbreeded, those people would be okay. But now, not so much. And God commanded against it. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. Really good question. Definitely something that can stump, that can just make you think like, what? Because that's not common in our culture at all. Yeah. This can just be like a, what? God, what moment? Like Bible, what? Especially for like, if you've never read the Bible or you're not into Jesus. Yeah, this is something that happened, and it does trip me up as well. And that is what I've researched and found, and that's how I've come to terms with it. I don't know. Ultimately, like, yeah, I try not to like, yeah, that's kind of like how I reconciled it. So, boom. But yeah, good, super good question. Okay. Tell us about your love life. I know there's ladies out there who want to know. Okay, so thank you. First of all, I don't know how many ladies are out there that want to know, but I will. Yeah, I can't speak to that, but I will be happy to share. I have had 3 girlfriends, and yeah, I'll kind of share like the way that I kind of handle my intentions with a relationship and with romance. So I've already shared I really want to get married and have kids one day. And so the way I think about it is like I want to marry my best friend, hands down. Like I want our foundation to be one of our love for God and the friendship, so that if everything else comes crumbling down, from finances to like physical issues to the way we like our attraction to each other, anything, if anything else comes crumbling down, we can still remain because our foundation is built on a friendship. I'm still married to my best friend, and we still both love God so much more than each other, and we're seeking him together, and we are being obedient to him by remaining like together and seeking him for everything. So yeah, hands down, I want to marry my best friend. And so to start, if we're even going to start building towards a romantic relationship, we have to start building a beautiful, amazing friendship. So for me, dating is like down the line. First things first, are we best friends, or do we have the potential to be best friends? And you can find that out very early on. And I have certain boundaries in place, and I'll lift up the boundaries when it's time. So let's say like I meet someone and we are just really hitting it off. Like the witty banter is there, the butterflies are there, the attraction, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all the attractions there. We start building our friendship. And then for me at that point, I like to usually just hang out in groups in public places, and usually if we do go to hang out somewhere, we take separate cars. So I try to just minimize like dependence on each other and minimize emotional dependence, because at that point we're just friends, and you don't want to just be like going crazy like, oh, like I'm in love. Like that is really exciting and the pull is very strong, but that is not the time to overreact and to go take things like too far. So sorry, so gross. Okay, so yeah, we're just keeping it as friends. And then usually your friends will tell you like, hey, you've been hanging out with that person, like what's up? Your parents, usually you probably can't keep your mouth shut about that person. And so from that point, I would say there's this moment where I would say, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Like, may I be your boyfriend? And with that, at that point, I think what needs to happen is that should become a public thing. I'm not saying you have to put your relationship on blast, but make it known. Like change your Facebook status if you have that or whatever. Just in some way make it publicly known, because I think that equals accountability, and that just makes it like serious. So let it be known, like we are now boyfriend, girlfriend. We are best friends, and we've decided to pursue each other romantically, not just as a friendship level. So at that point, for me, these are just my boundaries that I set so that I don't kind of lose my head through the whole thing. At that point, we can start holding hands. We can take one car to go somewhere. Maybe like hang out one-on-one. Like meet the families. If we're hanging out in a room, like keep the door open. Even like taking one car can be like, I just know myself, and that's just such like an intimate space. You're just there in that little space with that one person, and I don't know. I just really try to minimize like dependence. The only dependence that we should have is dependence on Jesus, never on a substance or a chemical or a person. And I want to retain that throughout throughout even my romantic relationship. Like to my wife, like I will always love God and serve God more than myself and even more than you. God is like number one. So yeah, so basically I have these like little boundaries that I like to keep. So at the boyfriend girlfriend stage, like we can hold hands, we can meet the family, we can take one car to meet somewhere as long as we're not lingering like in the car. These are just like little things for me. Always a curfew, always have a curfew. There's just something about like late at night, like there's like a drunkenness of sleep that sets in, to be honest. Like you start to lift up boundaries and you run out of things to talk about, so you talk about things you normally wouldn't talk about, and you like just get like closer, and like I don't know, I just know like myself, and I'm a very deep feeler and I'm a giver, and I know that those situations can turn into something that I think passes a boundary for me for what dating couples should be doing. So same thing with the friendship level too. So having a curfew is big. Like, hey, this is the time that I'm going to, head out for the night. And just communicating, being on the same page about that. I think you should put your boundaries together and make compromises and decide what would be best for the both of you. But just coming in, I already have those kind of like boundaries. So yeah, we're friends, then we're dating, and then there's this moment I think where I'll know, and the people around me will tell me, and she'll be telling me too, like, hey, she's the one, like, you should like just marry her. And then at that point I will propose, and at that point I'm saying I am going to marry you on this date, and then boom, you get married. And then at that point boom, like a lot of the major boundaries are lifted. I even have this one boundary right now where I actually would like my very next kiss to be on my wedding day. I have already had my first kiss, and I originally wanted to not kiss anyone until my wedding day, but when I was 18, I broke that, and I kind of would like to go back from that and reset. We'll see. It's going to depend on like who the person is and the conversation we have, and we'll see. Like, but that is a boundary that I'd like to keep starting like I started after my last relationship. So yeah, so being married, a lot of the boundaries are lifted up. So that is how I handle my romantic relationships. And all of this is, when I meet someone, I communicate all of this. I would communicate all of this to her, and we can have a conversation about it. So none of this is like dead, like set in stone, but that's just kind of how I roll. I like to communicate. Communicating is so important, and I like to have boundaries up. The Bible says create no opportunity for sin. And I also don't want to create any opportunity for I don't want us to be emotionally dependent on each other, or relationally dependent, or dependent on each other for anything, from emotional needs, physical needs, nothing. We should both already be fully complete and satisfied and getting everything we want and need, and all self-control from God. We are just together so that we can accomplish our individual purposes better together, and so that we can, I think that says it best. God made all of us, and he gave us also work to do, special gifts that we can use to help others. And I think that when two people come together, two believers, there's an element of my God-given purpose accentuates yours, and yours accentuates mine, and we make each other better, and we may even need each other to complete that goal. Every relationship's a little different, but I think that's an aspect as well. So yeah, getting back to all of it, that is how I run my relationships, and it's taken 3 relationships for me to get to this point. So I know I have really sucked in my first one, definitely sucked in my second one, for sure sucked in my third one, because I didn't have all this knowledge and all these boundaries yet. So there is something to be said for, some people need to learn by doing. and other people can learn just by observing and reading books and stuff. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's the point that I'm at. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm doing things, and that's gonna even grow and change as I continue to get better. I mean, like, I don't want to stay stagnant. I want to continue to grow every day and get better every day. So, boom. These are such long answers, I feel like. Okay. We need more Jesse lore. Also, sick outfit. Thank you. Yeah, I was wearing like a certain outfit that day. Jesse lore. Okay. Jesse lore. Well, I think the whole video is Jesse lore, so can't reveal everything all at once. But thank you for your interest. I'm super honored by that. I don't think I'm all that interesting, but there's a lot to pick up on in this video. I think I'm normally very private, but I wanted to make this in the spirit of being vulnerable and creating an atmosphere for people to be vulnerable in a community of vulnerable people. I will never judge you. If you judge me, that's fine. There's a lot I deserve to be judged for. But I would rather really put myself out there and where I am and be loved or judged or criticized for it than be fake or be silent. So, yeah, because now I have the opportunity to get better and be a better human, and do life with people. Okay, so this is the next question. What is your favorite question to ask/answer? So my favorite question to ask people is, I think, what do you know about God? Because that starts a whole, like, to me, conversations like that are what really conversations that matter. You know, like, why are we here? What do you believe? Who are you? Why do you do what you do every day? I hate small talk. I want to get to that kind of thing. And my favorite question to answer is similar, like, is in a similar vein. What do I know about God? Why am I here? Like, these are conversations that really matter to me. Okay, what's the kindest thing that anyone has done for you? Dang, I really think of just the acting thing right away, but when I was little, a family, the Marquez family, shout out Eric Marquez. I don't know if you ever will somehow discover this or watch this, but there was a family, the Marquez family, that took me on their family vacation with them to South Dakota. And I was like 14, and it totally, like, it was so amazing. It changed my life. It was a big road trip, and it was just a big blessing. He had 3 or 4 boys, and I didn't have any brothers. And so for me, just hanging out with that family and feeling like I had some brothers was an awesome time. And also traveling for the first time too, that was very special, and that was super kind. Because, like, being a kind of grown up right now and thinking, why would I take a random kid on my family vacation? You know, that's like another mouth to feed, and like a burden, like whatever. But that was very special. Yeah, I always look back on that trip. Definitely a very kind thing. That's just what comes to mind. Okay, how long have you been a believer? Okay, so yeah, I was born and raised in a Christian household. Both of my parents, they had like really rough upbringings. They're first generation Christians, and they grew up like super, like, my dad will tell you he was just trying to destroy himself. He was just like a big, like, partier, just living life to the fullest. No rules, you know, like no right or wrong aside from, like, don't break the law. Like, well, break the law, but, like, don't, like, kill anybody or treat others how you would want to be treated. Just living by, like, the golden rule. That's about it, you know. So he was, like, always, like, in bars, always partying, just living it up, living life, experiencing everything there was good to experience, to eat, smell, feel, taste, whatever, all the 5 senses. And similar with my mom too, just not really nothing and very much abused by her parents. But then they both went to a Bible study, and that's actually where they met, and that's where they got together, and they both believed in Jesus, and as we say as Christians, became born again. Their whole lives were changed, and their minds were transformed into valuing the things that God values. And boom, they stopped. My dad hasn't touched any type of smoke or drink, and he'll always say like 30 something years. And same with my mom too. And I've never heard my parents like curse. And yeah, they just raised me within that environment, correcting all the things that they did when they were young. So they kept me from a lot of bad things, and I'm really thankful for them. But then when I got to high school, I had a social studies class that studied like all these different religions, and I started to like think. I saw people in the Nation of Islam like on their face crying for God on their little prayer mat, and I was like, wait, why is what I believe the truth and this is not? Because at the time I just thought if it elicits human emotion that it's the truth. I was like naive and closed-minded. Like I only saw my world and what I was raised on. And I was like, why is what I believe the truth? And I started asking these questions, and every question that I asked God, I got an answer. And I think that's where my parents went right, is because they taught me to go to God with things. So I think if I was to question it and I went to sources like the internet or sources like other humans, that is an incomplete knowledge bank. If I ask a human, why is Christianity the truth? All they can go off of is their years of experience that they've spent on earth. And we're only alive for 70 to 90 years. So that is an incomplete knowledge source or knowledge bank, and heavily biased to their culture, their upbringing, or their experience. So that would be a bad idea for me to go to that. Same with the internet too. The internet is a limited knowledge base too. Because one, not everything is on the internet. A lot is, but not everything. And two, the internet doesn't have any knowledge of things there is to come. The internet is only past and present knowledge. It's a lot of it, but it's only past and present. It doesn't accommodate for future knowledge or undiscovered knowledge. So when I brought my questions to God, the creator of everything, who has always existed and always will exist, and who knows everything, that is a complete knowledge source. And the Bible says, if you seek wisdom or knowledge, just ask him and he freely gives it to you. The Bible says, if you knock at the door, if he is waiting at your door knocking just for you to open it. So that's the best thing my parents did was raise me to go to God with my questions, because he is there, ready and willing, with answers. And I think with God too, he gives you the information. He gives it to you at the correct time as well. So if I was to seek answers from people or from the internet, I'm kind of controlling the influx of information, how fast it's coming in, and the answers are dictated by the sources, which are incomplete. But when I go to God with my answers, he is pro Jesse and pro my development, and he knows me and knows everything about me. He created me. So I think going to God with my God questions, he reveals to me the information that is pertinent to me. He's all-knowing and he's outside of time, but he gives me the information at the right time and the correct information that I need for that moment. And so every question I've answered ever since I've had questions has been answered by God, and I've been fully satisfied. But mainly because I've been bringing those questions up to him. Like, if I have a question, I some things really make me think, like the question about polygamy earlier, why is polygamy allowed in the Old Testament? I kind of march into God's throne room or whatever. That's what I imagine, and just be like, God, what's up? I thought XYZ, but I just heard like ABC, make it make sense, and he does, and he has every time. So, how long have I been a believer? As long as I can remember, and to be honest with you, yeah, it's I've never really not been a believer. Every question I've had has been fully answered to a satisfactory level, um, objectively too. So yeah, God is awesome like that. What was it? What was it like balancing two jobs? I'm currently doing the same. Do you have any tips? All right. So, first of all, good for you. That's awesome. Taking on two jobs. I respect the hustle a lot. For tips, I would just say remember your why. Like, excuse me, got the burps. Remember your why. Remember why you're doing it. Remember your goal. Working two jobs was a lot, to be honest. There was a time I even worked 3 jobs at once, and it was just like, it was a lot. I would say too, like, consider the cost. So over the summer, I was a lifeguard, and I was working at Starbucks as well. And there would be days where I was clocked in at a job for a total of 15 hours. And I would get off work at Starbucks 4 a.m. to 11:30, maybe even 10 or whatever. And then I'd go lifeguard 12 to 6, or sometimes even 12 to 9. But I would just go to sleep and work the next day. And when lifeguarding finally ended, I was just like done. Like, my nervous system needed to reset. I found myself just like on edge. Like, my plate was completely full, and the littlest thing would push me over into happiness or sadness. Like, I don't know what happened, but when you're working 2 jobs, you're just working so much that you get in like a groove, and you're just like go go go. And yeah, coming down, there's like a fly. Coming down from that for me was just it had consequences, mentally and physically too. I was just really tired. So yeah, I would just say, like, consider the cost, but I respect the hustle, and if you can do it, absolutely do it. And I was just thinking about, like, my diet at the time too. It was really weak, like, the energy drinks and food on the go and stuff like that. It's nice that there's more money, but it definitely comes at a cost. And right now I'm loving Trader Joe's. It's an awesome company, and I am not going to seek out a second job just to pay off my debt. I am going to use my free time to work on my passions and my hobbies and create art and express myself through art. So yeah, I think like, if you can afford to not work 2 jobs, don't do it. Take care of yourself. That would be my tip. Having this big, like rough time after working my 2 jobs this summer. Okay. Which experience really affected your personal growth, and how? I would say, honestly, my 3 romantic relationships that I was in, usually with I'm a very private individual, and usually with my significant others, I am completely open, like 100%. I communicate everything, and they know everything about me. And I think because of that, in my romantic relationships, that's where I also did the most growing, because I found out things about myself, and I found out growth, and my significant other at the time always helped me grow. And yeah, those were the experiences that I learned the most out of, definitely. I do think I should be more vulnerable with people on a day-to-day basis. Like this is kind of why I'm doing this, just to share a little bit about myself, Jesse lore, what I'm going through, and hopefully it will, I always say this, hopefully it'll just help someone can relate to it, or go to the next stage in their growth, or reach the next goal for their whatever they're trying to accomplish. So yeah, the romantic relationships. what is the meaning behind your 5 yen coin necklace? So I'm not wearing it right now, but sometimes I wear a Japanese 5 yen coin. And my good friend Sam, he's in the Navy, and his ship, his aircraft carrier, parked. I don't know if you park dock at Japan, and he got me that 5 yen coin. It's not special at all. It's just 5 yen, and he let me have it, and now I wear it. I've always wanted to visit Japan. I love the culture and the people, and I've always just said to myself, I'm going to return this to its country one day. So, yeah, that's the coin. That's how I wear it. Set a 25-minute timer. Alrighty. All right, testing 1 2. We are back. I took a little lunch break, but now I'm back and I'm ready to answer some more questions. So here we go. I got a whole page of them to do. So, all right, next question. Do you believe in love at first sight? Yes, I do. I think I know that there's things like pheromones, like the natural like musk, my like natural like smell. Someone might pick up on that and be like, "Oh my gosh," like I also know like compatibility too, basic compatibility. Like you meet someone and like it's just instantly there, like the witty banter or like I don't know, anything. And I think when we talk about love at first sight, we're really just talking about a majority of those things clicking. But there's a part of me also that believes in a deeper connection too, like a spiritual connection, something beyond being compatible, on the 5 senses level. So yes, I believe in love at first sight. I think there's, have you seen like Hotel Transylvania, when they have like the zing, like you look at someone and it's just like there's like a red glaze goes over your eyes and it's like you just zing with someone. I love that concept. I love love. I think that that's just so beautiful. So boom. If you had a warning label, what would it say? Run away, stay back, keep out. That's a funny question. A warning label. If I could have a warning label on myself, I would want it to say work in progress. I think like I always want to be better than the person I was yesterday. And earlier I was talking about my boundaries in relationships and my boundaries in friendships, and I just I didn't know what I didn't know, and I'm just out here making these mistakes, discovering myself and my boundaries, and like the people around me are growing with me, but they're also kind of getting caught they're in the splash zone, the growth splash zone, as am I too. And so, yeah, I think I would just, if there was any expectations that I would want someone to have getting to know me relationally or romantically, I would just want them to know, like, yeah, I'm a human and I'm growing. I'm doing the best I can with what I know at this moment. And I think by doing that, you allow for grace to happen. Grace is getting something you don't deserve, right? So, yeah, I would just have it say warning, human in progress, work in progress, something like that. But funny question though. If your life were a movie, which scene would you watch over and over again? Okay, so there was, I would honestly say the happiest time in my life was when I went to Kauai, Hawaii. So I was only there for like 2 or 3 days, but I actually, each night that I was there, I cried myself to sleep. Happy tears. I didn't know life could get so good. I didn't know the air could literally smell sweet. I didn't know such good people could exist, the people I was staying with. I didn't know Earth could be so beautiful. Like, I'm telling you, it really changed my life. I would just replay that again and again, because when I went to Kauai, I felt like it was like a personal vacation from God. He was just like, it felt like he curated it completely for me. And he was just saying, Jesse, like, look, this is what is possible. And this is how much I love you. And this is, he just showed me that, like, my dreams and some of the things, like, that some of my ideals, it's real and it's possible. Excuse me. And, yeah, it just blew my mind. And so, yeah, that would be a time, if my life were a movie, I would rewatch the Hawaii part over and over again, because I was forever changed after that. And I love Hawaii, and I love the people that I met there. And I would just always rewatch it and remember how good God is and how much he loves me and what is actually, like, possible. Like, it can get that good on this side of heaven. So yeah, that's that one. What is your favorite flower? I have never thought about this. Never thought about this, but I can definitely kind of guess. That's a sweet question. I think guys should get flowers too. I think that's, like, I saw this quote. It was like, oh, the only flowers men get is at their funeral. And I was like, dang, that's true. Like, I like to get some flowers sometime. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. So, favorite flower, I would maybe like a lilac. It's a really good smelling flower. It's beautiful. And yeah, probably lilac. What is your favorite impromptu or spontaneous trip? And did you do it alone or did you do it with someone? That would have to be the Kauai trip, to be honest. It was just so good. Like, it was amazing. And I did that one alone. I went by myself and met up with the family. So, yeah. That would be that. I've had a couple of those kind of random trips, but Kauai would be my favorite one. Are you straight? So, this is a funny question because I get asked this pretty often. I think off the bat, a few people have told me, like, oh, dude, like, I thought you were gay at first, I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know, you know, let's take it way back. When my mom was pregnant with me, she looked around at the other boys that the moms were having, and she saw something that prompted her to pray this prayer, and she said, God, I pray that you will give me an emotional man. And she got me. So, I mean, I'm definitely very empathetic. I'm very in touch with my emotions, and I don't know if that's because I grew up with sisters, or I've never tested, like, I don't know what would factor into that, what my levels of estrogen versus testosterone are. I don't know. I just know I'm more of an emotional man. And I've always had more girlfriends than guy friends. And, yeah, and, like, people always think, like, I'm gay at first. But to answer the question, sorry for, like, I didn't even answer it at first. Yeah, I am straight. I am attracted to women. And when I hear something like that, you know, I have a lot of friends who are, like, attracted to the same sex, or I have a big variety of friends, and I think when I hear something like that, it's a big compliment to know that, like, I am also in touch with, like, we'll say, like feminine energy. You know what I mean? Because the Bible says that God created men and women in His image, and so I'm not trying to say, like, God has a gender, or I think He's more complex than that, but I think when He made men and women and we're made in His image, I think God would embody something in between where He has kind of both feminine and masculine, like, energy to him, or like the same like masculine and feminine like vibes. And like, again, I'm not trying to say God is gender fluid either. Like I think that he's more complex than even like what our basic terms do. But I think, yeah, I think that men should embrace, like, if you have a feminine side, embrace it. And girls, if you have like more masculine side, embrace it too, because there's value in that. At the very least, the value is just being able to sympathize and empathize with boys and girls, because they're different. You know, like there's very different tendencies. So yeah, when I hear that, you know, it's a great compliment. Like I said, yeah, I grew up with just sisters, and most of my friends are girls. So don't get me wrong, I can hang with the bros like all day. But I've always felt, I think, more drawn to this like more emotional, like, I don't know, conversational type of connection with other humans. So yeah, that's kind of that situation. So yeah, straight. Definitely always embracing my feminine energy, but I think I really do highly value also my masculine energy, and I think that I feel like I need to give that the most attention. So yeah. So have you ever cried during a movie? Yes, I have. Speaking of masculine, feminine, sometimes I feel like there's a lot of societal pressure for men not to cry. Yeah, I know that's a thing, but like, I'm all into it. I think that I'll say this. The last movie that I cried in was Elementals. And in this movie, there's a guy bringing his girlfriend over to meet his family. And they play this crying game where they try to get each other to cry. And the girl is like super tough. And it's like she's not one to cry. And they break her down and make her cry just by saying something like really emotional, like, oh, like, you know, think about whatever. I don't remember exactly what they said, but they made her cry, and that actually made me cry too. So I thought it was really beautiful. And I think, quick note on like emotions, I think that, and this is like kind of more towards men, like, if you're feeling a feeling, I think it's important to process it before putting it away. So there's a lot of, I think, cultural pressure for men to not cry or to not really like feel emotion, to just be kind of like stern and stoic and steadfast. And there's some benefits to that, but there's even more benefit in this process if I can explain it, if it makes sense. So when you feel something, first process it and think about, why am I feeling this way? And what can it tell me about myself and others? And after you've processed it, then you can put it in its correct place. But if you feel an emotion and you never process it, you just put it away, I think that is just going to sit there, and okay, 10 years down the line, you don't understand rejection, or you don't understand criticism, or you don't understand boundaries, you know, because you've never processed the emotions behind those, like, I don't know, categories, I guess. So yeah, I think it's important for everybody to process emotions and then put them in their correct place. And part of processing, I think too, is deciding whether or not to act on it. So let's say I'm feeling an emotion. I might think to myself, why am I feeling this way? What does it tell me about myself and others? And also, should I act on this? Is it based in truth or a lie? Is it grounded in reality, or is it grounded in an insecurity or a fear? And then you can answer the question, should I act on it? And then put it where it needs to go. It's just because something is felt doesn't mean it must be acted upon. You gotta like test it out first, you know what I mean? But I'm a big advocate for feeling all emotions. If you're sad about someone dying, experience that grief, understand it, process it. heartbreak, got to go through it. I am an optimist, but I am always trying to become a more realistic optimist. And the best way through something is to feel through it. But yeah, feeling and acting on a feeling are like two different things. So, boom. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Am I an introvert or an extrovert? I am an introvert, so I have to go home at the end of the day and recharge my battery. I have a social battery, and it can just get drained. Like some people like drain my battery like that. Some people drain it slowly, and some people just keep it the same. But usually to recharge, I've got to have just some Jesse time, like, eat my favorite foods, do my favorite activities and things. Yeah, I would say, a lot of people say, like, Jesse, you've got to be an extrovert, but I'm actually not. Like, it takes a long time for me to even push out a vlog like this. And I do be going places, though. I do be going out on adventures. I would call myself a adventurous introvert, or maybe just like a people-loving introvert. I gotta come home and recharge at the end of the day. I got to. Okay. Next question. Where are your parents from? Okay. So my last name is Wenzel. It's German. And my dad's German. I got like the dirty blonde hair, the blue eyes. And then my mom is actually Jewish. And I also know I have strong genes in Greece, and French as well. So Greek, Jewish, French, German. Although if I was talking to a Jewish person, your Jewishness comes from your mom. And so I would be Jewish, basically, fully Jewish, as recognized by the Jewish culture. So that actually, I only found that out recently, just this month, and that has some pretty big implications. So I might make a whole video on that, actually. But yes, that answers that. Are you in love with me? These are like unanimous. I can't see who made them, but I don't know. I need to see if we are can be best friends first, like I was saying earlier. I do love you, though. At being like single, I love people, and I'm just here to help, and I would take a bullet for anybody on this list or anybody watching. So yes. When was the last time you felt like you were happy when no one was looking? Okay, good question. Last night I was kind of dancing around my room, but my dad was in the next door, so he's sleeping in the next room, so I couldn't really go hard. I felt a little self-conscious. But I think about a time earlier this month, I had the whole house to myself. And I was just kind of running around the room. I pretended like I had the power in my finger just to like bless like any room that I pointed to. So I was running around the house like just going like zap, 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 and like tracing rooms. And I don't know, I just asked God to like give me that power, and I went around just like, I don't know what if I was like what you would call it, like cleansing my house or whatever, or just I don't know. I just thought like okay, now this room is just like full of goodness and beauty, and it's filled with God's presence and angels protecting it, and why couldn't God give me that power? He totally can, and I'm asking him, and I only have good intentions and want to do it for good reasons, so why not, and and I don't like, okay, so like proof that God can work like this. I think when we have that type of faith that just defies, it's like real faith, it's like leap of faith type of faith that unlocks God's full potential of his power. So as an example from like a Bible story, there's so Jesus was walking around, and this one guy came up to him, and he's in the military, this guy that came up to him, and he was like, Jesus, he has like a servant at home, and he was like, can you please heal my servant? And Jesus was like, yeah, I'll make my way over there, a couple days. And the servant was like, or the guy was like, he said, I'm in the military and I have guys under me and I can order them to do things and they'll do it for me. And I know you can do the same. And so will you please heal my servant like right now on the spot? And get a load of this guy. He's over here telling God, like, Jesus already said, I'll make my way down there. But he's like, no, I know you can do it. And if you catch his posture, he's not like presuming to tell God what to do. He's more so just saying, like, I believe that you can do this. And I think that is the correct, like, posture. And Jesus says to him, Jesus is like, I haven't found faith like yours in all of Israel. And the Israelites are supposed to be all the people who believe in God. So, yeah, and this guy, he's in the military. He's not even a Jew. He's just in the military force occupying Israel at the time. And Jesus is saying, I haven't found faith like yours in all of Israel. So I think that's beautiful. And I think having that posture when we approach God to say, like, I believe you can do it. God made all the rules that we follow and that the laws of nature follow, like gravity, whatever, has certain rules. He made them, but he doesn't have to follow them. He can break them. And when we have faith, like, even if I ask God to give me the power to bless anything I point to, he can do it and it can happen. So boom, you're blessed. I love to have, this is the kind of faith that I have. And the Bible says, if you want to see the kingdom of heaven, you must become like a little child. And just having that kind of like childlike faith, I think, is the key. And that's what keeps me like light and joyful and have fun with it. So yeah, that's the time this month when I was really honestly happy. And that is the last question. This video, I have to say, has just been plagued with issues. My camera can only record up to 30 minutes, so I wasn't timing at first, so I lost a ton of footage. And then the batteries were dying, and then like, and my card's full. It's about to be full any second now. And I'm just like, okay. So many times today I wanted to just give up and not record the video. But I'm done. I got through all the questions and I want to push it out to you guys. This is important for me to share and to do this. And it's vlog 5. So it's October 1st today. Hope you guys have an awesome October. I will make more vlogs and I'll see you hopefully very soon. Be blessed. And let your light shine. Find your gift and then give it away. And I hope this just helped someone out. I hope somebody can connect with what I'm going through. Any questions, shoot me a DM, ask in the comments. We're doing this. We're going through life together, So, there we go. This is vlog 5. Hope you guys enjoy. Peace. Mic drop.